Okay, everybody, take a seat, sit down. We're going to get rolling. We're going to get started, everybody. So sit down and shut up. Sit down and shut up so we can get things going. All right, calming down. 3, 2, 1. We are starting. Okay, thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. It's nice to see a good crowd again. We've got a bunch of old faces and a few new ones today. You know, we've got a wide variety here. So if you're new here and you haven't already, please scan the QR codes. That'll hook you up to EthVan Linktree, and you'll be able to like find a bunch of resources there, connect you to all of the socials, whether it's the Discord, Telegram, Twitter, all that stuff. That way the Meetup group as well, so you can actually stay in the loop with things and connect with us and a whole bunch of other things that are going on. We've got Nouns Run on Saturday. So if you want to run, go to Cole Harbor at noon at the Cactus Club. Go run your face off for 5K in the rain. It's going to be great. We have ZK night on every Wednesday, 6:30. ZK. Yeah.
What kind of stuff you can build. Talk about ZK, what kind of stuff you can build. Also more into the math behind it. And just it's really interesting. So if you've thought about it, come by and tell you about it.
Perfect. There it is. Okay. And after, I guess after that, I don't know what else we've got here. NFT and Coffees, I think, is next Thursday or next Wednesday as well. I think or is it the one after? Anyways, maybe it's 2 weeks from, or 2 weeks. Anyways, I think it's next week. Check out on Discord for all that. We've got more information there. Then tonight we've got Christian, 0x Crouton, in the house, about to tell us about tokenized vaults, the ERC-4626 standard. So we'll let Christian take it away, and if you guys have any questions, be sure to raise your hand and we'll get you one of these fancy microphones. We are live streaming right now. We're at YouTube, we're on Twitch, and we're also on Twitter. So it's live, it's real, it's happening. So that's why we want you in the microphone, so that this is all getting relayed through to the stream. So I've been pushing this for a long time, and we're finally there. So please, we got 2 microphones. We'll get it to you, and we can go from there. And afterwards, if you want, there is a nice little sign up there that says Ethereum Vancouver POAP. So if you would like to commemorate this moment, take your phone, tap the little area that says tap there, and that will mint you a POAP, or a proof of attendance, that you've been here, and we'll mint it for you for free. All you need is your Ethereum address. Put it in there, and you'll have it. With no further ado, Christian, take us away.
Can you guys hear me okay? Yep. How am I on the live stream over there? Okay, we're Gucci. Am I looking okay? Yeah. Okay. Hey, everybody. My name's Christian. Actually, I have a slide for who I am. My name is Christian. I am, among other things, one of the organizers of Ethereum Vancouver. That's where you are right now. And also, I'm the community lead at Superform. If you want to follow me on Twitter now, or maybe after I've given you a fun, enjoyable talk, you can feel free to do so. Anyone first time here in the space? Hey, okay, so this is Decontrol. We've been hosting the Ethereum Vancouver meetups here for about like a bit over a year and a half now, every Thursday for like over 80 weeks. Pretty cool. And this place is like a decade old. It's like a hacker space / Bitcoiner hangout. After the talk, there's like a little museum kind of thing in the back there if you want to check it out. We have a vending machine where you can buy bubblies with Matic. It's pretty cool. A lot of cool stuff here. If you want like a tour after, let me know. So let's dive into it. We're going to talk about tokenized vaults, the ERC-4626 standard. What the heck's that? Oh yeah, a little disclaimer. I like to put these in. I don't think it actually prevents you from like suing me, and it's basically common sense. But it's more for the laughs I get when I tell that joke. So following presentation is intended for education and entertainment purposes only, and should not be construed as financial advice. Always do your own research, etc. Okay, so what's a vault? The simplest way to define a vault, I think, is it's a smart contract that accepts token deposits then it does something with those tokens to provide rewards to the depositor. So let's break that down a little bit. So hopefully you know what a smart contract is. I don't know how low like I need to start, but you know, it's like code running on the blockchain that's running some sort of like automated function. And these specific smart contracts, you can deposit tokens into them. And then the contract's going to do something with those tokens. It's going to invest it in the DeFi ecosystem somehow. It's going to perform some kind of action that's going to earn yield or interest for the people who deposit into the vaults. And to break it down a little more, like the mechanism. So when you deposit into the vault, you're going to mint a share token or like create a share token, and that's like representative of your ownership stake in the vault. If you own 10% of the assets in the vault, you get 10% of the share tokens. And then the reverse happens when you redeem those tokens, they get burned or destroyed, and then that's how you're able to withdraw your funds from the vault. It's also like a receipt to track, you know, your receipt of your funds that have been deposited. And you know, it's kind of similar if you know how like liquidity pools work, right? Like you deposit into a liquidity pool, you get an LP token representative of your stake. Now let's say the same thing but with cute pictures. So there's you, and there's a vault, and the DeFi ecosystem. So say you have some money and you want to earn some interest on it, you could deposit that into a vault, and then the vault is going to give you the share token that's your receipt and representative of your ownership stake in the vault. And then you will, the vault will deposit these tokens into some other contract in DeFi. Maybe it'll do some farming. Maybe it'll provide liquidity somewhere, stake it somewhere. You know, it could do a wide variety of things with it. And then hopefully it's making money if it's well designed, and then it's going to earn some additional rewards, and then those rewards get sent back to the depositor. And very often, there's going to be a lot of different people that are all depositing to this vault and you know, combining their resources together. What are some examples of vaults? So here are just some like of the typical things that we would consider a vault in crypto. So an aggregator, so something that's going to back to like this, like people are going to bring a bunch of their yield into one single place in a vault. And this allows for a few things. It's like capital efficiency and optimization. So if you think if you're doing some sort of, if you're investing in a staking pool in crypto or something and it's paying you a reward, often you're going to want to take that reward and maybe you don't want to hold it, you want to like sell it back and then reinvest into the vault and like compound your investment. And every time you do that, it's going to be a transaction that's going to cost you gas. So if you pool a bunch of capital together and then the vault is able to be more efficient in the capital allocation because it can compound more frequently, and the gas costs are socialized, we say. So it's spread out amongst all the people in the vault. Some other examples like lending markets. So something like Aave, Compound, like you'll deposit into a interest-bearing account and you'll get some token that's like representative of your ownership there. We like automated strategies, like maybe more advanced like investing strategies that might be automated through smart contracts, and then like intrinsically interest-bearing tokens like XSushi or like Ohm or Time, things like that. These are all examples of like you invest into some contract. It's just like back to the definition of a vault, right? You deposit tokens, it does something with the tokens, and you get some rewards. That's like the high level. And then like what about these? Like liquidity pools and liquid staking, they're kind of the same concept if you look at like the high level definition, right? Like so liquidity pool, we deposit tokens, we receive our receipt, the LP tokens, and then the liquidity is used to facilitate trades in a decentralized exchange. And then a percentage of the trading fees, you know, go back to the depositors. So it fits our definition of a vault. Same with liquid staking. If you're going to deposit your ETH into Lido, you get staked ETH, which is like your receipt token. And then the Ethereum that's deposited gets used to secure the Ethereum network. And then there's like native staking fees that get paid out to staked ETH holders through Lido. So I think these fit the definition of a vault as well. The difference is like if we're talking about this ERC-4626 standard that I'll talk about in a sec, like some of these are like more often compliant with said standards, and some are their own implementation that doesn't necessarily fit the ERC-46 standard at this moment. So let's look at some examples of some protocols that have vaults. One is Yearn. They do a lot of things, but their main products is a DeFi yield aggregator. And so you deposit assets, and Yearn puts them to work within the DeFi ecosystem. This is kind of what I was just talking about, socializing gas costs and doing this like automatic compounding of rewards. And then typically the vaults will charge some kind of like maybe performance fee or a management fee. Obviously, management fee is like fixed, and then the performance fee is going to be based on a percentage of the yield that the vault earns, and that'll be dependent on how well the vault performs. And then Yearn is kind of cool. You can permissionlessly deploy vaults, but like a very specific kind of vault. That's a vault for a curve pool with an active gauge. And I won't like dive into the tokenomics of Curve, but like very simply, there's some liquidity pools on Curve, which is like a decentralized exchange. And if you provide liquidity there, you can earn like CRV rewards. And a common strategy is to take those CRV. Say I'm investing in like some stablecoin pool on Curve, and I'm investing USDC, and then I'm going to take my CRV rewards. I'm going to sell those for USDC and reinvest those into the vault to compound my my rewards, so I earn more. But every time I do that, that's like a blockchain transaction that costs gas, and so that's where like that socialization comes in. And all these Curve pools, like they have the same implementation. So that's how they can be permissionlessly deployed on Curve, because they're all going to behave in the same way. That can't be said for other kinds of vaults. So that's why this is the only one that currently you can permissionlessly deploy. And that means like you don't have to ask Yearn to like build you some implementation for this vault. You can just go and do like a contract function, and it'll deploy any Curve pool, a vault for a Curve pool. And anyone can do that. Beefy is kind of similar. Beefy, they call themselves a multi-chain yield optimizer. Probably the biggest difference is like they're on a lot more chains. They're on 17 chains. They have more than 500 vaults. Maybe like a wider range of kind of vaults and strategies that they cover. But it's a very similar concept, right? Like they automate the claiming and the swapping and the redepositing. And then there's this like concept of sharing gas fees and aggregating volume, which can make a lot of these contracts to compound rewards more frequently. And here's the one that's like a little different. So Morpho, they're a peer-to-peer layer built on top of lending protocols like Aave and Compound. And so this is like a lending pool optimizer that also improves capital efficiency in a slightly different way. So when you're like on Aave, there's going to be a spread between the interest rate that borrowers pay and the interest rate that lenders get. And that's based on like a mismatch between borrowers and lenders. So if you, instead of investing directly in Aave, you go through the Morpho vault, then what it does is it attempts to match up borrowers and lenders, and that will like eliminate the spread because they're meeting each other at the same time, and you don't have this like mismatch of like supply and demand there. So say like it's like 3% to borrow USDC, and you earn 1% to borrow USDC. Then say in this case, if they were matched up through Morpho, then they would both earn or pay 2%. So the borrower, instead of paying 3%, they pay 2%, and the lender, instead of earning 1%, they earn 2%. So both parties win. And the important thing is here, like it's directly built on Aave, so it's utilizing the same liquidity, same liquidation guarantees, and the same risk parameters. It's just with potentially improved rates, right? So there's another like cool like instance of a vault. Sommelier is market adaptive vaults, they call them. So they say they're like intelligent strategies. So this is like some, maybe trading algorithm or something like that. And there's like going to be an off-chain model that's going to take some input parameters, and it's going to maybe suggest you rebalance a portfolio or something like that. And then the way this works, there's like a validator set, and then they have to like send a message from the off-chain model, and the validator set has to like reach consensus that is actually they want to like actually execute that. But essentially, it's a automated strategy for some sort of investing, and then based on like current market conditions or something, it might rebalance a portfolio, and then your tokens are just sitting in a vault, and you're earning the yield of whatever that investment strategy is. And then one more example is Pool Together. This one's kind of interesting. It's very similar to like just using Aave, like you're depositing your USDC, and then instead of the interest being directly or like distributed evenly amongst all of the pool members based on their stake in the pool, it's actually a lottery. So there's like a daily prize draw, and the winner like gets all the interest essentially. So it's like you can call it a lossless lottery. The rewards are purely distributed from the interest earned from the USDC that's deposited into the vault and then routed into Aave. It's just you don't get like a steady whatever 2% APY. You might. There was one. I think they pooled together. Said they had one person who like put in $80 and won $40,000 or something like that. So that was like the best instance of getting super lucky on something like this. Yeah. Microphone definitely. We have a question.
Yeah, okay. Do you know if it's distributed evenly across all depositors, or?
Is it distributed evenly across all the
So, like, the randomness, specifically about pool together, is the randomness, like, distributed? Maybe if you have more deposits in the pool, do you get a higher chance of getting the reward?
I don't think so. I think it's, like, provably fair, and, like, if you own 10% of the pool, you have, like, the... to be honest, like, I'm not going to say something I have no idea about.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, I'll check that out.
But you should look into it. I got some resources. I'll share the slide deck after. I just know, like, the high-level idea. You get daily prize draws, and so it's not, like, actually distributed according to ownership of the vault. So it's another interesting use case of a vault. But you know, same thing, same concept again. You know, you're putting your tokens into the pool together vault. It's doing something, which is investing in Aave, and then the rewards are randomly distributed. So why does ERC-4626 matter? There's some problems with these vaults. Like you might have seen, there's a lot of different ways we can, like, if we look at this high-level definition of what a vault is, there's like many different implementations of what that could be. And if there's no standardization, it makes it really hard to integrate and, like, you know, kind of put these vaults together. It's limited composability, and so composability, you know, that's just the idea that we can, like, build a system from, like, smaller individual components, and DeFi is really good at that. You know, like the money Legos, you can fit these things together to build really cool stuff. That's what you get when you have, like, a digitally native financial system. But we need standardization if we want to actually have these Legos working in that way. And then so if you don't have a standard, then for every vault, if I want to build a protocol that's, like, aggregating multiple vaults together or in some way, like, interacting with multiple vaults, I need to build, like, a custom integration for each different vault or each type of vault that I'm integrating with, because they don't have the same, like, functionality and they won't behave in the same way. So what this leads to is wasted development resources, and ultimately it's like an error-prone process, so it's a security risk. You have all this unnecessary code being written, and that's just more chance for there to be a security vulnerability and funds to get lost. So with a standard, ERC-4626, it'll save development time, it allows for rapid innovation, and there's that safety and assurance, so less chance of your funds getting stolen, and then you have these flexible integrations that we can do. So to fully appreciate the ERC-4626 standard, I think it makes sense to look at what ERC is, and then let's explore some popular ones, ERC-20 and ERC-721, and then we can use that as our basis to, like, more understand what's happening under the hood with ERC-4626. So ERCs, they define the behavior and implementation of tokens and smart contracts on Ethereum. That's, like, the definition, and it helps us maintain that composability that we were talking about. ERC-20 is a standard for fungible tokens, so that's, any token on Ethereum, any cryptocurrency on Ethereum that's not ETH itself is going to be an ERC-20. USDC and USDT. It can also be, like, points or XP in a blockchain-based game or something like that. Any fungible asset can be represented via ERC-20. And some of the main functionalities of this standard are to transfer tokens between accounts. You can get the token balance of a specific address. You can get the total supply of a token. And you can approve, like, a third party to spend tokens from another account, for example. And you can look at some of the actual functions that are in the standard. So any smart contract that is ERC-20 compliant will implement all of these functions, or I guess like technically some of them are optional, but in essence, like they'll have all these functions. And so you just, in the contract itself, the actual function can kind of, you can kind of do whatever you want with it, but it has to have these functions like with these parameters, essentially. So we can kind of look at them, like break it down a bit. So let's look at like number 1 and 2. You can see that these are name and symbol, and these are view functions. So somewhere in the ERC-20 contract, it's going to like define the variables that are the name of the token and like the symbol of the token, so like Bitcoin, BTC, and then calling these functions just like reads the contract and returns those values. And then you have like total supply, same thing. Read view function will return like the total token supply, like 1 billion tokens or whatever. And then it's got balance of, where you can query the token balance of a specific address. And then you have your transfer and approve functions as well for actually approving someone else to spend your tokens on your behalf, and then also actually transferring the tokens, that functionality there. And without this standard, something like Uniswap couldn't exist. Kind of like I was talking about before, developers would need to build a custom integration for every token or every like set of tokens that they wanted to list. And users couldn't permissionlessly list tokens, right? Because right now any ERC-20 contract can trade it on Uniswap, but that's because Uniswap it knows that all these contracts are going to behave in the same way. If you call one function on one contract, it's going to behave in the exact same way as if you call that function on some other contract. And that's how you can build something like Uniswap. And we can like kind of take a look. Oh, there we go. So like we can pull up some random like Chainlink token, and we can go and look at what the address of the Chainlink contract is. And if we plug that into Uniswap, then you see it's going to pop up like we get the name and the symbol. And if we do something a little more like niche, like something like Baby Ape Fun Club, and then we check this contract, we can see it's going to come up, Baby Ape Fun Club, BAFC. There's a little warning from Uniswap that it's like an absolute shitcoin. So, you know, earlier when I was talking about like financial advice, this is that part right here. And then you can also see like total supply, like here Etherscan is reading the contract and it's getting like the total supply. Here there's 420 trillion tokens, I think that is. And then we can actually look at the contract itself if that interests you. And I can like, I can go to like, wait, can I search this itself? Oops. No, I want to search this.
Yeah, I think you just got to focus. It's kind of weird.
Normally there's a little thing that pops up here.
It has its own internal code search.
Oh, it's right here, right? Yeah, there we go. Thanks, guys. So I need you here. Yeah, for example, like total supply, and then I can see here's the function, the total supply function, and it's returning this like t total variable, and then I can like search that up, and then in some way it's here's kind of where it like sets the function to whatever that value is, the 420 trillion, and then that total supply function is like calling this, we're returning this value essentially. And it's just like one specific example of like, see, this contract has this function, it's going to have all the functions, and that's why it works on Uniswap, even though it's an absolute shitcoin. maybe not, I don't know. Okay, next, ERC-721. This is for non-fungible tokens, so you know, digital collectibles and anything that isn't fungible, provably unique, right? And it's got very similar functions, you know, transfer tokens, get the balance of an account, approvals, and then also you can get like the owner of a specific token because each token is unique, so you can look at each single individual token in a contract and there'll be like a specific owner of that token. And we can look at the functions. It's kind of very, very similar. We have like number one, the balance of where we're getting the number of tokens that a particular address holds. And then number two is the owner of. We input a token ID and we get the address that holds that ID. And then you have your transfer functions, you have your approval functions. There's a few more. I won't dive into like what exactly is happening here, but like, you know, essentially it's very similar to ERC-20, just implemented in a slightly different way. And all NFT contracts, all ERC-721 contracts have this built in. And kind of like Uniswap, OpenSea couldn't exist without ERC-721. Developers have to create a custom integration for every collection. They would all be working differently. Like back in the day for OpenSea, like every collection kind of had its own marketplace more or less, because otherwise you couldn't like list every collection on one marketplace because it was too much development effort. And you couldn't like permissionlessly list NFTs like you can today. So it's very similar. Uniswap ERC-20, OpenSea ERC-721. So that's the idea behind standards. So let's look at what we're here today, 4626. What are the functionalities? The main ones are, we talked about them, deposit and withdraw the underlying asset of the vault, the one that's the main one for depositing, withdrawing, and for like vault accounting, and then also minting and redeeming the shares, your representation of ownership, and a few other things like getting the total amount of underlying assets that the vault has, and then also the shares held by one particular address. And there's a lot more functions in this one. There's actually, I got 18 here. And we'll just like go over them quickly, but you can see like number 1 there is asset. So it's a view function, and basically where if you call this, you're getting the contract address of whatever token the underlying is. So if it's USDC that I'm depositing into this vault, if I call this function, I'll get USDC contract address. And then number 2, total assets. This is the total amount of that asset that the vault holds. We have a few different functions for each of the main functions, like the deposit, mint, and then withdraw and redeem. Like those are pretty simple, like deposit, withdraw, mint, and redeem. And then we can see there's a few others like max and preview before each of these. And these are kind of like, you can check what the maximum amount of shares you could get if you were to deposit some amount, or you can like kind of simulate what the effect of this deposit or withdrawal would be based on like the number of shares versus like assets in the pool. And that's, I think, like the main thing that this standard is doing. Like it's the accounting for like, you know, I have this many share tokens, and therefore I can withdraw this many underlying tokens from the vault, and those kind of things. And then a few more, like number 18, for example, that's when you can query the specific balance, vault share balance of any address. So what can we build if vaults adopt ERC-4626? So this is Superform, the Universal Yield Marketplace. So this is the company that I work for. And the mission is to simplify earning interest, I guess specifically in like a non-custodial way with your digital assets. And kind of the value props here for DeFi users, you can access any ERC-4626 vault on any EVM chain using any asset. And you can do all this in one transaction. All of the swapping and bridging is abstracted away from you. And then protocol builders can permissionlessly list their vaults and get instant omni-chain distribution, similar to how you can have any token on Uniswap or any NFT on OpenSea. So more specifically for your DeFi users, you can browse a list of like vaults across multiple chains, and you can kind of like choose which ones you want to invest into, and you put them in your bag, and then you like check out at the end. And so you can deposit into any vault from any chain using any asset. You can withdraw from any vault to any chain using any asset or receiving any asset. And you can deposit into multiple vaults in one transaction. And then you'll get to manage your cross-chain yield portfolio from one single interface. And then for protocol builders, we talked about this before, but like permissionlessly listing your vaults, instant omni-chain distribution. So if my vault is just deployed on one chain, if instead someone accesses it through Superform, they can access it from any chain. So essentially, if you're listed on Superform, you don't have to deploy to every chain. You can get deposits from any chain through Superform. And then you can also avoid building your own front end for your vault. So if you just want to like deploy some strategy or something on chain, you don't need to have your own front end. There's a protocol page on Superform that you can add and manage the metadata for your vaults and put pretty pictures and things like that. So that's why we call it like the universal yield marketplace, because it's kind of matching DeFi users with builders of vaults. All right, time for the pictures, because this is how we really learn. So here's you, and you've got some money, and you want to invest it in some vaults to earn some yield on your crypto. But the problem here is that, see, there's many vaults, hundreds of vaults spread across many different chains. And the process of, number one, like identifying these yield opportunities, like that's really hard in the first place. Especially in like DeFi moves fast, and you want to be able to like allocate your capital efficiently and quickly. And then it's also very expensive and time consuming. If you think about it, if I want to access like some vault, I'm on chain A and I want to access some vault on chain B, like I might have to like swap to some token required to bridge across to this other chain. And then I might have to swap again once I'm on that chain, and then I have to deposit into the vault. And then if that's just for one vault, I want to deposit into 2 vaults, how many, we're looking at like, 8, 10 transactions that we have to do. And all of this takes time and money and effort, and who likes to put those things in? So instead, with Superform, we have this universal yield marketplace. And what this looks like is I can deposit any asset into Superform from any chain. And then everything kind of happens. I do one transaction, or maybe 2 if you want to call it like an approval and a deposit. And then all this happens abstracted away by Superform. So it takes care of the swap on the destination or the source chain, so the chain you start from. And then it will do the bridge to chain B. If it needs to swap again on chain B, it'll do that. And then it's going to deposit the asset into the vault on chain B. And then it'll mint the vault share, as it does, because we're using the ERC-4626 standard. We know that we call this deposit function on that chain. We're going to get our vault share. And normally you would yourself custody the vault share if I was investing directly into the vault. But because we're using Superform, Superform actually custodies the vault share, and instead it mints you a super position, which that's essentially, it's a token that's representative of your cross-chain yield position. And the superpositions are what let you manage your yield from whatever chain you want. So you don't have to worry about having the vault share and going back to that chain to redeem it. We just hold the superposition on whatever chain we want, and we manage our yield positions from whatever chain we want. And then we can go a little beyond that, right? So still in one transaction, we can deposit into 2 vaults, or 3 vaults or 4 vaults, multiple vaults on the same chain. Or we can simultaneously bridge to 2 different chains and deposit into a vault on each one of them. And then we can also deposit into multiple vaults on multiple chains. And all of this, as you see, all we do is we interact with Superform, one transaction, and all this happens. And then we get our superposition, and then we can manage it all from one place. And this is only possible because of the ERC-4626 standard. Because remember, we're bridging tokens and we're sending message data across chains, and then we have to, once we're on that chain, deposit into a vault and receive our receipt that we deposited into that vault, so we can keep track of all this stuff going on. And if every one of these vaults was implemented in a different way and didn't have those same functions that worked in the same way as we saw in the ERC-4626 code, then this just wouldn't be possible. It would be way too much development effort because you'd have to write more code and build these custom adapters and wrappers for like every single vault or group of vaults that you wanted to deposit into. So again, this is what I'm currently working on, and it's not live yet. We're launching before the end of the year, and if you guys want to try it out, it'd be really cool. We're really excited about what we built. There's going to be no fees, so all of this you just got to pay like gas fees. So it's like if you looking for a way to earn yield in your crypto, it's like a super cool thing for you to check out. How do you find it? Superform.xyz. And I'll share some resources after with some of the stuff that I went through and websites and things. That's basically it. Does anybody have any questions?
Can you swap 4626 like any other ERC-20?
Can you swap? Yeah. Well, because so the 4626 standard is not necessarily it's not like a type of token necessarily. It's just the standard for how we interact with these vaults and kind of standardizing like the depositing, withdrawing, the minting and burning of the shares and kind of the accounting that happens within that. The share tokens themselves, those are like ERC-20 tokens, right? But the ERC-4626 itself is not like, you don't have like a ERC-4626 token. You know?
Yeah. But it like extends.
Yeah, it's technically it's like an extension of ERC-20 in a way, yeah.
You guys doing any initiatives to push adoption for 4626? Because I know there's some pools that aren't using it yet. And when do you anticipate? Like,
so glad you asked that. We actually have.
I got you.
There's actually ERC4626.info. It's the 4626 Alliance. So it's a bunch of protocols. Can we see them all here? A bunch of protocols that have all like. Put some capital together and are working together in the mission of the adoption of the ERC-4626 standard. So yeah, there is some work being done here to kind of push that. Ideally, everyone would be built on 4626. You know, we talked about liquidity pools and liquid staking, and you know there is pushes to have all of these things 4626 compliant. Like Rocket Pool is working on 4626 implementation. There was a new EIP put out. I can't remember the name exactly, but it was another extension of 4626 for like asynchronous vaults. So for when you need to have like 2 separate transactions for a deposit. So yeah, simply yeah, this is like kind of what we're doing. You see there's Superform down there. You probably recognize like a lot of companies on this list that are all part of it. Like we talked about Yearn and Morpho and Pool together today. Some big ones like Frax and Balancer. I guess actually everyone we talked about today is on this list, so there you go.
So are you guys live already? Or
Great presentation. Ooh, Christian, thank you. Yeah, I'm on your website currently, superform.xyz.
Yeah.
Does it work on mobile as well, or is that?
The protocol's not live yet.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
not quite live. Soon, TM.
How soon?
Can't say.
Gotcha. Thanks.
We do have a wait list. If you wanted to get in the wait list, might be a good idea. I don't know.
Actually, another quick one. So, me as a crypto degen, I love my yields. So, any advertising you could do, or like, what are the approximate yields, or is it kind of like the market rate currently?
So no, I can't like really get into any of that. We are just like a window for you to access the yield. You know, we present it to you. Anyone can list their yield product on our platform, but we're not going to go like recommend you like invest in particular things. I'll get in trouble.
Yep. Thanks for that disclaimer.
Hey Christian, yeah, great presentation. Just got some little more questions, I guess, about Superform, whatever you can get into. Ultimately, what layer 2s are you guys going to support right out the gate? Because that's got to be like a compatibility issue, I'm guessing, with
any EVM chain that supports ERC-4626. So we'll be on Optimism, Arbitrum, all the big good ones from Polygon and.
And will you be using like a inter-messaging service to bridge everything? Or
Yeah,
is it
yeah. So we're built on like a lot of existing infrastructure, like cross-chain messaging like Layer 0, and then bridge aggregators like Socket. We're built on top of those kind of things. So yeah, we haven't like reinvented the wheel. We're utilizing what already exists and works.
cool? Do you have any competitors as well that are utilizing the same idea that you're aware of?
No one's really like trying to do it like this. There might be someone that exists we don't know about, but like nothing that I know of that's specifically doing this. I'm sure once we launch, there'll be a bunch of like people trying to copy us. But I think it's a lot of freaking work. And only like lately is ERC-4626 kind of getting to a level of adoption that like something like this makes sense.
Cool, man. Thanks.
Well, I still have the mic, so I'm going to use the opportunity. So how much funding did Superform get, or how are you financed?
How we finance? VC money, as any good crypto project would be.
Awesome. Do you know the amount as well?
Yeah, but we haven't like officially announced it yet, so.
We are in a basement. No one's going to leave. So.
We're live stream, man. Anyone could be listening.
Fine. I may have missed it because I came late. Boo me. Because it maintains an exchange rate between the shares, there's an inflation attack. How are you guys thinking? Like, what is your strategy for mitigating that? Do you take do you use a router or dead shares like Uniswap? This is like upon initialization that there are ways to create an unfavorable rate.
Right. That's going to be like specifically at the vault level though, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
exactly.
like we just like list vaults. That's all we do.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if there's some exploit that happens, like, you know, you invest at your own risk kind of thing. There might be measures in place, I'm not too sure, like that we could take, but like, you know, if something's going to happen at the vault level, like, you know, we're ultimately not responsible for something like that. That's like,
yeah, I on that, 'cause I haven't ever seen that. I haven't seen there's pros and cons between all the mitigation strategies.
Right.
I haven't seen one that like is clear above the others at this moment.
That's a really interesting question. I don't have an answer. I'm not sure. I like to think somebody smarter than me is thinking about it though.
Okay.
You mentioned earlier you guys don't take a fee. Everything's feeless in Superform. Just if you're allowed to share, like, what is your monetization strategy for the product?
Maybe one day have a fee.
Fair. Uniswap 2.0.
All right. Any other questions? More questions? All right. Okay, I think we have it. Yeah, round of applause.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Couldn't do it without my audience.
Beauty. So yeah, thank you very much, Christian. Yeah, once again, if anybody is interested in minting a POAP, it's back there to commemorate this lovely momentous occasion. So make sure you come and try it with your phone there. Yeah, then if you want to stick around for a little bit afterwards, feel free to do so. If anybody is interested in helping with like development or graphic design or a wide variety of things, we need people to help with that. So please come and find me afterwards. There's a lot of things that we can kind of work on. So I'd really appreciate some help there. And yeah, if you haven't scanned the QR codes, get connected with all the socials and everything so that you can find everybody. And please fold up your chairs and tuck them behind the door here. And yeah, have a great night. Thanks, everyone.